Hello and welcome. My name is Vivek Bhandari, and I'm responsible for product management at Area 1 Security. And today we will be talking about business email compromise and how to stop these kind of phishing attacks that have become very commonplace. So let's get straight into the meat of the presentation. So business email compromise is very dangerous because it effectively leads to businesses getting compromised and sensitive private information that gets leaked out of the organization. And because of that, the business email compromise in a recent FBI study from 2016 had put some metrics around what's at stake here. As you can see with the numbers on the screen, about $5.3 billion were lost using business email compromise techniques by attackers. A large number of organizations, over 80% of the organizations, have suffered BEC attacks. Actually, this number is close to 100% today, at least in the mid-sized to large-sized enterprises. And these kind of techniques are growing in popularity simply because they are super effective in being able to compromise the target and steal information or achieve its objectives. Now, what is at the root cause of all these business email compromise? Obviously, the root cause is phishing, and phishing, as we know, is at the root cause of almost every major breach out there. In fact, if you look at a number of industry studies, they point to almost every breach, over 95% of them, starting with a successful targeted phishing attack. And the reason why these are so successful is a cleverly crafted phishing attack results in a very high success rate of being able to get its target user to take action on that phishing attack. Now, with the business email compromise, it being a phishing technique over email, if you look at the typical sort of makeup of a BEC email, the typical characteristics are these emails do not contain any links or attachments or payloads, but all these emails are effectively spoofs. They are really going after that trust the user has, either trust on other individuals, other entities, other brands, other organizations, and it's really leveraging that trust factor to get the user to take action on whatever that email is trying the user to do, and that is why these emails are so successful and very dangerous. Now, if you look at some of the examples of BEC phish types, some of the common themes and examples here that we see in these type of attacks, the common one is obviously domain spoof, right? So it will pretend to come from a trusted domain or a domain that you regularly communicate with, but in reality, it's probably not from that domain. So that's a common technique. The name spoof is a very, very popular one. Again, this is where somebody will pretend to be a trusted person. Very common. We'll see hackers will use company executive names, and they'll send emails into the employees in the organization, pretending to be either from a CEO or some other executive within the company, which likely gets the attention of the target user and gets them to take an action. Some of the other ones are domain proximity. This is where lookalike domains get registered by attackers, and they will host it on platforms like Google or other platforms. So it'll go through the standard verification checks from a DKIM and SPF perspective, but it will be just one or two letters off depending upon the length of the domain, and it's easy for the end user to miss those details as they look at that email, right? So that's again a popular technique. And then attribute spoofs, right, which is in the body of the email or even in the visible header headers, like the from address or the subject line. This is where they will again leverage the trust factor, trust on either the context of the end user or a particular brand or a logo, and that's where they're able to sort of get the user to take action. So again, these are just some of the common phish types that we see that get used by attackers. And if you look at the examples here on the screen, again, these are just some of the examples that we have actually recently seen in the last few days and weeks through through our systems, coming as Area 1 is protecting several customers from these kind of attacks. These are just good examples where somebody's, either coming in as an executive, but they truly are not. They even go after the members of the board, or they'll pretend to come from a member of the board to an internal executive. Again, it's leveraging that known entity factor to try and get the user to take action. So what do we do about these phishing attacks, and why do users keep falling for these fish? The reason is, we've over the years built some amazing anti-spam gateways and solutions out there, and these solutions do a really great job of filtering out spam and commodity threats using antivirus scanning and other techniques. But these sort of filters are not effective against those low volume targeted BEC attacks. User education, again, given that thing is, it sort of impacts productivity of the users. But in reality, again, if you look at it, even in the tech-savvy business world or work world, we have been able to see that we can get end users, more than 20% of the users to actually click through and fall for those phishing attacks, which effectively speaks to, that you really cannot educate your end users out of this problem. And the last bit is, our existing defenses that we have in place today in the networks, like the firewalls and the web security solutions, while they provide great functionality for the use cases that they serve, mostly around compliance and controlling the traffic at the edge, they are really not effective against these low-volume phishing attacks that tend to come in, and that's why these phishing attacks keep getting to the defenses and are able to sort of, in many cases, lead to a successful breach. Now, what is Area 1 doing about it, right? The approach Area 1 takes is we've got to get much better in sort of addressing the phishing problem, right? So the focus remains on phishing and phishing across all the internet traffic, whether it be email traffic, web traffic, or the network traffic. We want to make sure that any phishing activity is identified and stopped before it ever gets into the network and leads to a breach. And the way Area 1 does is it really focuses on the very early stages of the campaigns. Before these campaigns are even launched, if you think about it, attackers need to establish infrastructure from where they'll either serve the malware out or where they'll pull the data into, and that's where Area 1 really focuses on proactive discovery of the phishing infrastructure across the entire internet by continuing to scan the internet on a continuous basis. And that helps us identify the infrastructure and campaigns in many cases well before they are actually used in campaigns. And then we have built automated solutions that are very easy for customers to deploy and activate in their network, which will stop these phishing activity across all traffic again, right? Similar, on the website, on the email side, and on the network side, where you might sometimes have a compromised endpoint communicating with an attacker's infrastructure, which is effectively the C2 or the command and control activity. So that's how Area 1 effectively addresses the phishing problem through that summary there. Let's dive a little bit more deeper into the email aspect of the solution, since we're talking about business email compromise, which typically comes over email. In this case, if you look at the existing spam filters that exist out there, the secure email gateway, or the SEG as they're called, these solutions, like I said, again, do a fantastic job of filtering out almost 99.9% of the spam, and they're able to effectively do so because the spam volume is pretty high, and you can create patterns and algorithms to identify them and then filter those out. The thing with that approach is that approach doesn't really work for the low volume phishing attacks, which is significantly lower in volume, and you just do not have the luxury to collect enough samples and build a pattern around it, right? Because by then the damage is already done. And that's the area that Area 1 focuses on, is with its proactive discovery of phishing infrastructure and campaigns, and really identifying the patterns. We're able to identify these low volume phishing attacks and filter those out so that when the emails get to the user's inbox, it's phish free. And at a high level, the way Area 1 handles this is it's all about small pattern detection. It is taking the proactive discovery of phishing campaigns and infrastructure and combining that with the context of the message and all the attributes of the email message. Who is the sender, who is it going to, what does the email contain, where did it originate from, what was the last hop of the email, again, just when was the domain created, not only the domain of the sender, but the domain and the links of the body or the attachments. And, all those attributes of the email are effectively, factored in to really identify a baseline pattern of what is a normal email versus what is an outlier that can really help us identify those phishing attacks. And, the way the solution gets deployed, Area 1's phishing solution for email, it effectively is an inline MTA that works really well both with existing anti-spam solutions as well as the cloud inbox platforms like Office 365 and Gmail. It's super easy to deploy. It's very quick to configure as well, and it allows customers to very quickly get the phishing protection on the email stream. Area 1 does support on the email side some basic actions on the email, things like ability to insert X headers when it does have a phishing detection, or to be able to make certain basic body or subject line prefixes to be able to warn the users if the email messages are getting delivered to the inboxes. So all that's built in. The solution does provide real-time reporting, both through the product portal, through email, as well as integrations with platforms like Slack. One can get easy alerts and notifications as well as reporting details, and that makes the solution just operationally efficient as well as very, very low burden on the operations front. The service itself is a cloud-based service, and it does use Tier 1 cloud platforms to deliver the service. So all the things around data privacy are fully accounted for and taken care of. Emails are not really stored in the Area 1 cloud except for the phishing detections, which are malicious emails, and that too are logged and stored just for customer reporting and forensic analysis purposes. But even the detections are tagged with the right X headers and the right email modifications on the subject of the body and delivered to the next hop. And so it becomes very easy to leverage the Area 1 X headers to enforce quarantine policy actions, for example, either in your cloud inbox environment or on your existing anti-spam gateway. The service itself offers all the attributes you would expect of an enterprise-grade cloud service around availability and privacy. So all that is built in. And here's a good example of a Fortune 500 consumer products company, a global company with over 35,000 employees that deployed Area 1 solution across the entire internet traffic on the email side and the website as well as the network side to really protect its organizations from phishing attacks. Prior to bringing Area 1 in, they saw there was a steady stream of phishing attacks that was coming at the executives and at certain targeted users in the organization, and the current solutions were missing that. And then they basically had the opportunity to leverage Area 1 both on the incoming email side but also on being able to close the gap on their existing web security and network security infrastructure, where click-throughs or traffic that was being missed by their web security gateways or the firewalls effectively was covered by Area 1 with the automated integration that Area 1 offers with these other products as well. And that's effectively how they were able to ensure phishing protection. So that is really it, what we wanted to talk about today, really focus on the business email compromise aspect of things, because it's been just a very popular technique over the last 2 to 3 years and continuing to grow in popularity. It leverages human trust on entities, whether it's people, domains, organizations, and they're very easy to miss through the existing defenses. But by leveraging proactive discovery and all the other techniques of really looking for business email compromise emails, Area 1 is effectively able to stop these attacks from getting to your users. With that, we'll wrap up today's webinar. Thank you very much for your time, and if you have any questions, please reach out to Area 1. Thank you.